It's hard to get away from the Bones line of minis. While price is a factor, and without doubt it's a big one, Bones are one of a handful of quality figures that are really cheap. Because of this, they are a very viable option. Secondly, the store I go to stocks them, making them easily accessible. Lastly, and this is perhaps the most important in this area, they are great for D&D. They are great because with so many figs in their catalogue, now you can find your character or close enough to be happy. They are cheap, so you're not spending a bunch. They are durable, and this one is really important, especially for GMs, because a player will pick up your painted mini and toss it across the table without thinking. It's bad enough with a Bones. If it's a multi-part metal figure like Infinity, then it's coming apart, sooner or later. Yes, I agree, people shouldn't do it, period, but they do. In general, I only use painted minis on closed tables where people respect the work that goes into creating them. In the end, it's for their benefit as well, right? A painted mini on the table looks much better than a white one. So with being heavily into D&D for a year, I basically painted one Imperial Assault Army core set and a lot of Bones for D&D. But creatively, I let myself get cornered. So I have been making sure to mix up the Bones with other stuff. Partly to force me to get back to working harder on my painting, but also just to add some cool variety back into my hobby. As I have some Metal Reapers, Resin Fantasy, a bunch of Samurai from Titan Forge, as well as some very cool World War II stuff from Bolt Action, Infinity, and Doctor Who medals. I have enough that I should be mixing it all up. So I decided to tackle the second of the Hasslefree Miniatures medal that I had. I have had this Barbarian for as long as I did the Mage. Both were really cool, but had sat on my shelf for some time. When I started the Mage, I decided then that I would do the Barbarian next, and get the two hassle-free ones out of the way. There was very little cleanup on this figure, which was nice. I don't enjoy the cleanup phase. It's boring, but it's also important, and it's damned annoying when you finish cleanup and prime the figure only to find out that there's more to do. It's one piece, and I much prefer one-piece minis. They stay together better, obviously, but there is less fuss and mess. Some multi-part figures go together without any drama and hold in place amazingly well, but there is a decent amount of them that don't fit, have gaps, or worse, the fit is strange, because the part just isn't a good enough fit in the right areas. Even with filler, they can just look slightly wrong. You might be able to fix it with sanding before gluing or trimming, but it's not always easy. The Titan Forge Dragon Empire minis came with a staggering amount of cleanup before I could do anything with them. A lot of the single-piece miniatures have boring poses, but the Barbarian, while simple, is also amazingly animated. Arms to her side with a sword in each hand, and she would like to rage. She has this wonderful angry face, but is still pretty. She has very nice lines and showing a little breast, but isn't overdone. The pants, hair, and face are excellent. Her top is good and her cloak is awesome. So much detail in that cloak. It's hard to get away from browns with Barbarian, so I went brown with the cloak. I had considered a different colour for the cloak, as if she had slain a frost wolf or something, but it's harder to pull off. It might not be obvious what the cloak was made of. Having a mystery in a figure is great, because, like an interesting painting, it can make people think and discuss it, but the mystery should not be confusion. So I stayed with brown and did several different shades of it. To get away from the brown Barbarians, I went with green. 2 different tones for the top and pants. Lighter for the top, darker for the pants, partly to give a two-toned effect, but I also went lighter on the top, as I want you to be looking up there more, her face and hair, so I worked the lighter shades upwards. This mini came in at around $15 with shipping, so I am pretty happy with that really.